Welcome to another episode of the Not Another Yoga Class podcast and LinkedIn Live series. Here today, I have a very special guest. I have Alina Burlacu, who is a personal finance mentor and coach and the director of AB Growth Solutions. And today, we're going to be talking about financial initiatives in organizations and how to make sure that employees engage with them. Morning, Alina. I was just checking the time.
Good morning. Good morning. Good to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure. So I was having a chat with an organization recently, and they had just adopted one of these financial coaching initiatives, which are becoming more and more common. And that's actually part of the company that I've put together. One of the issues they were having was actually getting their employees to use it. Mm-hmm. So what I wanted to talk to you about today is, have you got any kind of practical tips for companies that will help them boost engagement with these types of initiatives, which I think are really important? And then maybe we can discuss a little bit more about potentially what they could do to support their employees and their personal finances.
That's great. Well, thank you for trusting me with this conversation. It's very broad, and I know we have limited amount of time, so I'll do it with the least preparation in the world. I think it comes from the heart and probably from quite a bit of an experience there, because the majority of my time is spent within the workplace space, helping where I can employers who want to provide access to the employees to financial guidance and financial empowerment. So what you're saying to me is actually not new. I think I've seen it enough times when, and to my surprise too, because when you are a coach, you think, okay, well, the reason we're doing this is to democratize access to financial education and guidance. And a lot of times the main thing is, oh, well, I can't possibly do that because I can't afford it. So when the employer offers this service to the employees, essentially taking money off the table, you're kind of expecting everyone to jump right on it, except they don't. There's usually a handful of people who put their hands up slightly, kind of reluctantly, and kind of wince a bit. They come into coaching conversations with a lot of apprehension and a lot of fear, and usually triggered by something like a significant event in their lives. But these are the lucky ones. These are the lucky ones who actually have access to a financial coach. I think usually financial well-being solutions are quite limited in their effectiveness, because they're usually packaged in it's kind of like a one-size-fits-all. They're usually focused on knowledge. They usually focused on things like retirement, for example, or investment. And that's not for everyone. You know, when you think about usually people who cannot afford to be in front of a financial advisor, who don't usually become aware of what a financial advisor can do for them. Usually these people don't think like that. They're very focused on the here and now and making things work. So for a lot of these solutions, again, just focusing on knowledge is just not enough. Knowledge alone is not enough. So and
this
I know
is such a good point. That when the company I was talking to, their demographic was mainly kind of between 20 and 30. And so they're not necessarily thinking about their retirement so much.
No, but again, they're not thinking about retirement in a way that we talk about it, in a way that financial advisors would talk about it. They don't care about, deferred gratification. They don't like to talk about like what's out there, like decades away. But they do care about tax. Except we don't present it in a way that enables them to actually see the connections between how much they earn. They don't tend to focus so much on the maximizing the value of their salary. they don't understand it. So, but because the conversations are framed in a way that don't really enable them to see to connect the dots. And then, if you put knowledge out there for someone to really make a decision and take action, they need to understand the so what. So what does that actually mean for me? And usually they don't get to sit down with a financial coach or a financial advisor to unpack it all in terms of the specifics. And the specifics are to do with their own aspirations and priorities and circumstances. And usually these change. And so the conversations do tend to evolve. And again, if you don't have a discussion partner, if you don't have a thinking partner, it's a really hard thing to unpack. And don't forget, Jamie, in a lot of countries, this one included, people don't tend to learn about finances, personal finances in school. And let's be honest, in a lot of households, we don't approach money management conversations constructively. It comes from a reaction point, right? What is it that, and usually ends up in an argument, and people tend to avoid it. And at work, again, there's a lot of stigma attached to money, and people don't want to be judged or don't want to feel judged. And so there is a lot of fear of opening up, being transparent, being vulnerable, putting your hand out there and saying, asking what you may think as an individual. It can be a stupid question because you don't want to feel stupid. And so for a lot of people, they just, they see knowledge as a nice to have. They would politely sit in webinars and they would nod their heads and then walk away thinking, oh, we've done this. It's probably half an hour. I will never get back. But for a lot of people, they don't tend to act on it. Where I see the difference is when the company puts a financial coach at the end of this to say, and they have a conversation to kind of go, okay, this is an overview. This is why this may be relevant to you. Usually they frame where I frame the conversations around, risks to be aware and opportunities to be focused on. And then we take it offline, and then we talk about specifically what does that mean to the individual or the couple in front of me. And that's when the magic happens. And so that's where I see the engagement. And usually, Jamie, it only takes a handful of brave people to walk through my virtual door. And then I see more coming in because they walk away and talk to their peers to kind of go, this ain't that bad. I promise you, it's been playful. I haven't been laughed at. I haven't been ridiculed. And usually people tend to finish the conversations with, actually, this has been incredibly useful, because not only because we touch on practical stuff, but also because we unpack mindset element to do with their biases and their fears and the whole psychology around money, which for a lot of people is a tough egg to crack. It's very deeply encoded in their thinking, and it's really hard to unpack with the familiar faces, that is the peers, the family, and so on. So knowledge as a focus is an issue, as a focus only. I think not a lot of firms give people the opportunity to implement, to have tools and strategies to implement, and that may include a financial coach. Also, accessibility in the language. Like I said, a lot of financial educational pieces I've seen out there, they're like borderline PhD level in how a pension works. I mean, people don't want that. They're good with what they're good at, and they don't wish to take a certificate in pension management. And yet we're still delivering. I see a lot of deliveries out there in the market with the view of, I'm going to educate you and I'm going to give you the A to Z in how pension works. And that can put people in a space of, instead of inspiring them to go out there, take action, and make decisions, it actually has the contrary effect. So I remember being in a program with some young lawyers who were at the beginning of the journey. They've been through a webinar, and the 10 people I talked to, they were probably more anxious coming out of that webinar as they were when they started watching that webinar. And for a lot of them was like, oh my goodness, I missed this boat. What have I done? I'm not, it's not enough. In all those, okay, risk aware, but in a mindset that was not constructive to have a planning conversation. And but the luck there was that we were trying this clinic approach where they were happy to come in and discuss it. And then they, I can breathe now. I can go and my job is to signpost people and continue the education and continue the conversation, because it's overwhelming. It can be overwhelming without that foundational bit. And I think the third most common one, Jamie, because you asked me what I see and the maybe the solution. I think in a lot of companies, the communication is not necessarily effective in this is what the service is about. These are the benefits. These are, tools and strategies are connected to it. But also there isn't a positive culture. So I'm a coach to several companies. The amount of times people have to reschedule coaching calls because the workload, because management puts meetings on top of the financial well-being meetings. Well, if you offer financial well-being solutions, please allow your people to use them. Please give them the space to kind of go, this is an investment in you, because ultimately, if you are less stressed because of your finances, you will show up with more intention and with more brain space at work and deliver more than hiding behind the computer whilst simmering in your angst because of money worries or So I think culture is so important. So if you offer financial well-being solutions, don't approach it as a tick box exercise. This is not meant to be a tick box exercise. Financial well-being alongside mental well-being and physical well-being is so important for a person's ability to survive, and therefore their ability to grow personally and professionally, and ultimately for their ability to thrive at some point, which is where you see people being the best they can be. If they're thriving physically, mentally, financially, that's when you see that most companies get the best out of these people. So that's my rant over, Jamie. Hopefully
No, it was perfect. You've broken it down into three pieces. I loved it, and I totally agree with what you're saying at the end. It is important, and it does require a buy-in, especially if there's an investment that's been made. So can you just kind of tell everybody that's watching this what it is you do and how you help?
Well, my day-to-day job is to help individuals access the best ideas in terms of what is the future, what is the now, first of all, because I'm in financial planning, but I tend to break things down into now and sooner later. So I help my clients break things down into smaller achievable steps to get to where they need or want to be financially and personally. And I do this through a combination of education, coaching, and mentoring. So giving them the tools to like I said, to access the best thinking, to use the full potential in terms of earning potential, but also to develop the habits that will allow them to experience that consistency with the results they're getting. Because I think ultimately a good financial solution in terms of mentoring, coaching will allow people to have clarity on what is it that they want or they're aspiring to. They get a sense of control over, how do I prioritize, what do I focus on, and so on. And then they also get a sense of confidence through developing a process. Ultimately, the decision making, I think, for my clients tends to be one of those, like, it's almost like, Jamie, how it feels in fitness when you develop the right kind of muscles and you right, that you focus on various things. And I'm not gonna go further because I'm not a fitness expert. Like,
thank you though.
Yeah. With finances, we tend to do the same thing. We tend to look at, okay, what do you need to know? What do you need to do in terms of a process, but also what state you're in. Just like, in fitness, you need to have that drive, that adrenaline going, the oxytocin, the dopamine that is being released by doing bit by bit and strengthening that confidence. So ultimately, I'm sorry, it was supposed to be in a nutshell what I do, and it's not. So essentially, I do exactly what you do in the fitness world, helping people get clarity on what they're trying to get done, gain a sense of control out of doing the right things at the right time, and then build that confidence to go do things that perhaps sometimes are outside of their control, comfort zone.
Got it. And incredibly important. Alina, thank you so much for coming on today.
Yes, well,